Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend.
Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity.
Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter.
爱是能够将敌人变成朋友的唯一力量。Only force capable of transforming an enemy into friend.
In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
Si un hombre no ha descubierto algo para morir, por él no es apto para vivir.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Born on January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr., the middle child of Michael King Sr. and Alberta Williams King, was a very astonishing man. Martin has had several college recruits and ended up going to Boston University, where he earned his PhD. He then stepped later in the years as a pastor after the death of his father-in-law in 1931 at Ebenezer Baptist Church. After some time, the I Have a Dream speech broke out on the March of Washington, which he tried to reiterate his belief of how everyone could be equal. After all of the speeches he has announced, it led him to winning the Nobel Peace Prize. On this day, April 4th of 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated by a sniper's bullet. Now we honor Martin for being a great civil rights leader and a great active speaker. Words cannot express what an inspiration he was to American history.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The momentous decree came as beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro still lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society, finds himself exiled in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition.
In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall here. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds.
Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, I say to you today, my friends. And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interpossession and nullification, One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see together. All flesh shall see together. This is our hope, and this is our faith. I go back to the south with.
With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom from the curvaceous slopes of California.
But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring.
And when this happens, and when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yo tengo un sueño.
Muy bien, Lev.
Yo tengo un sueño que América ahora y Dios nos perdone nuestros pecados.
我有一个梦想。I have a
Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase.
We must accept finite disappointment but never lose infinite hope.
Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Siempre es el momento correcto para hacer lo correcto.
Time is always right to do what's right. What is right.
In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools.